Imagine walking through the bustling streets of an ancient city, dusty roads, crowded markets, and the hum of people going about their daily lives. It's just like any other day in first century Israel, except for one thing. There's a man standing there, a carpenter from a small town called Nazareth. But he's not just any guy. He's teaching in the temple, surrounded by scholars and religious leaders who, for all their knowledge, can't speak with the same kind of authority he does. Teaching in the temple was a big deal. Men considered teachers of the law would gather to share their interpretations of Scripture. But here's where things got weird. The crowds gathered not because Jesus was quoting rabbis or following tradition. No, he spoke like he knew the truth firsthand. He wasn't just talking about God, he was talking to God in a direct living relationship. This was different, big time. Jesus wasn't reading from a script or quoting generations of rabbis. He challenged the religious authorities and redefined what God's kingdom was all about. His authority came from a living relationship with the Creator, and that's why the people hung on his every word. Jesus wasn't just a teacher, he was right there in the trenches with people. He didn't sit in some distant place, offering wisdom from far. He lived alongside the people, felt their pain, and understood their struggles. Take the wedding at Cana, for example. Jesus, his mother Mary, and his friends were all invited. When the hosts ran out of wine, a major social disaster, Mary asked for his help. Compassionately, Jesus stepped in and turned water into the best wine, surprising the host and saving the celebration. Jesus didn't just fix the problem, he made the moment even better, right when it mattered most. He showed up in real life and made a difference. What could have been an embarrassing situation became something beautiful. This wasn't about religion, it was about being present in the thick of life. The miracle? It simply revealed who Jesus is. Now let's talk about his miracles. They weren't about impressing anyone or showing off. Every miracle responded to a need. Whether he was healing the sick, feeding the hungry, or raising the dead, Jesus demonstrated that life isn't meant to be full of scarcity or pain. Life is meant to be abundant. His miracles weren't tricks, they were expressions of God's kingdom breaking into the world. Jesus showed us what happens when you live in harmony with the Creator. He wasn't performing for a crowd, he was simply being who he was created to be. And here's the key. Jesus didn't live to start a religion, he lived to show us how to live authentically. It wasn't about rituals or movements, it was about real relationship with God, with others, and with the world. He wasn't telling us what to do, he was showing us how to live. Jesus hung out with tax collectors and sinners. He healed on the Sabbath, broke social norms, and flipped conventional thinking. He wasn't starting a revolution, he was showing us what life was meant to be, full of compassion, freedom, and grace. Not bound by rules, but flowing from the heart of a loving Creator. Then came the cross. When Jesus faced it, he didn't do it to prove a point. He did it because he was the only one who could show us that love isn't just a feeling. It's a choice, a costly one. His love wasn't about building followers or making a name. It was about restoring what was broken. Jesus didn't just talk about love, he lived it. His resurrection was proof that love isn't bound by death. It transcends time. His love overcame everything, even death. And the ascension, that wasn't a fairy tale ending. It was a declaration. The life he lived, the relationship he had with the Father, wasn't confined to one man, one time, or one place. It was meant for everyone. The invitation was clear. Choose life. A real life, not a life of rituals, not a life of appearances, but a life lived in true connection with the Father, just like Jesus did. So what's the invitation here? Live authentically. Be in real relationship with the Father, just like Jesus did. You don't need to perform, impress, or create spectacles. Just be who you were created to be and let his love flow through you. When you live authentically, the results will follow. Sick will be healed, broken hearts will be restored, and the world will witness the power of God, not through grand religious acts, but in everyday life, lived with him. That's the Jesus effect.